Number 9, Brianna Thompson. Number 17, Ashley Hollins. Number 6, Tegan McDonald. Number 14, Maya Wisdom-Lee. And number 1, Chloe Marshall. Well, Fremantle City, number 1, Tessa Cliff. Number 7, Jessica Mitchell. Number 10, Ashley Byrne. Number 12, Lara Giuliani. Number 15, Talia Lorne. Number 20, Zoe Andriich. Number 23, Maria Garcia. Number 25, Rachel Oliver. Number 26, Amy Buffton. Number 36, Alice Vandermeeren. And number 35, Naomi Decline.
Hi everybody, welcome to Macedonia Park for Game 2 of 4 today on Belt Up Amateur and Metropolitan Cup final day here in the West at 12:15. Kick-off between Baldivis Districts FC of the Women's South Metropolitan Division 1 and Fremantle City of the Top Flight. My name's Tommy Dolman. I'll be calling you through this one during the afternoon, and my co-pilot in the commentary position with me is Sean Fry. Sean, good of you to join me as always. We've been through the whole season together calling MPL games, Metropolitan matches today as well, cup finals along the journey, and we finally hit the end of the season and looking forward to a good game today between Baldivis and Fremantle City.
I certainly am, and straight away I'm excited about this kick-off. 3 at the back, a swarm of players out on the left there, trying to win this second ball and get the pressure on early, but yeah, very excited here. We just had a good scrap in that first game between North Perth and Perth Soccer Club in that opening fixture, the 1-0 win to Perth, and yeah, hopefully we get a nice competitive fixture here to follow it up.
Tegan McDonald there with the early pass through. That'll run all the way through to Tessa Cliff. Yeah, Sean touched on before. It was Perth Soccer Club who won by goal to nil over North Perth United in the day's first game. Goal scored by Cameron Sutton midway through the second half there. And great to see the women's matches showcased alongside the men's fixtures as well. Obviously, as callers of the NPL women's competition, we've gotten quite used to that in recent times, having the men's and the women's share the big days in front of good crowds. And here's another example of that as Fremantle City look to move on the front foot early. The striker goal comes in from Rachel Oliver, and it whistled just wide of the post.
Yeah, great position for Oliver to take up there. Just peeled off and found that space. A good striker's instinct there to find the opening, and just couldn't keep the shot down there. Fremantle number 26. You touched on the support, Tommy, and one of the great things about the women's game at the moment as it continues to grow in quality, as young girls come up starting to see an opportunity to actually play, inspired by the likes of your Sam Kerrs and their role models further up the game, and we've seen the level go up and up and up the last few years of the women's game. And even at this level here, the Metros, I think you're seeing a standard and a quality that you just wouldn't have seen 5 years ago, and you're right, it is great to see.
Yeah, 2 full seasons of the NPLW competition, both completed, both won by Murdoch University Melville. And today it's the time of the Metropolitan women to shine. As Sean said, we're at Macedonia Park today. Great for these players to play at Macedonia Park, a well-renowned stadium across the state. Great facilities here, great grandstand. I'm sure it's something the players will relish throughout the afternoon. Pass forward from Oliver was looking for... Sorry, it was from Bufton that was looking for Oliver. Nothing doing, and now the chase is on. It's going to be Brianna Thompson who gives chase, putting into touch there. Was the Fremantle City defender. Baldivis will get us moving with a throw to be taken by Maya Wittstrom-Leyer. Clearance will fall back to Baldivis' number 14, and now the turn around the corner from Byrne will pick out the skipper Amy Bufton. Looks to get a foot on the ball early. So a battle between Division 1 and the amateur leagues today, Sean. Both of these teams separated by a division. It's going to be interesting to see how Baldivis, nicknamed the Divas, I'm reliably informed, stand up to the task today. But obviously, as we saw in the last game, it was fourth place Perth who upset the league winners, who only lost 2 games all season, and anything can happen in a one-off game.
It certainly can. I'll refrain from making any jokes about any Divas in that first game. A bit of play acting there that I'm always quick to point out you see a lot more of in the men's game than the women's game. The girls tend to just get up and get on with it. But moving on to this one, I'm interested to see how this unfolds. We saw that set up at kickoff as Fremantle go forward.
Yeah, reverse ball there from Alex van der Meyeren. We'll come back to your point in a minute, Sean. That was good defending, though, and then as Sean hinted at, a fierce challenge. It was Magenta Wilders who went in there firmly. You can hear the crowd getting into it. In the background on the mics, coming forward there was Brianna Thompson. The Divas' top scorer this season. Forward she goes again, Thompson, looking to burrow her way through a couple of challenges, and now clearing upfield is Andriak, and the clearance ends up being a beautiful ball because it nearly landed at the feet of Jessica Mitchell. It does eventually. And then the 2 players, Mitchell and Chantel Yates, go body to body on the far side. Mitchell emerges with the ball, the pass back, and then putting the cross into the area with Bufton, and Van der Meyeren wasn't able to turn it on target, but a good tempo early.
Yeah, it certainly was a hard one to finish there, certainly with your left foot. Not sure, of course, whether she's preferred the right or left, Van der Meyeren, but really having to open up your body and open up your left foot to steer that one on target. Wasn't able to do that, but I was just going to say before, the setup of Baldivis is interesting. It looked like they're playing a back 3 where their number 17 there, Ashley Hollings, is almost operating as that holding midfielder slash centre-half, splitting the other two and being able to step forward and make those interceptions, which she did on that occasion and then just miscued on the clearance. But interesting to see how that they operate. Fremantle operating with more of a traditional back four by the looks of things.
Yeah, normally you see the three centre-backs employed when there's two strikers up front to provide that outnumber, but as you picked up on, Sean, it's an interesting ploy. Van der Meyeren has had a great season. Looking at her numbers in isolation, so I'm sure she'll be a threat throughout the afternoon. Looking to keep a close marker on her early. Also as well, possibly a Division 1 team. You want to stay in the game as early as possible, keep it tight early on, and then maybe release things a little bit later as the game wears on. Wickstrom Leia of Baldivis is giving pursuit here to Lara Giuliani, who ran out of real estate on this near side.
And you just saw again there Hollings stepping forward to intercept a pass. Again, didn't quite get the contact on it that she wanted, but I think that's obviously the plan, is to keep Van der Meyeren under wraps and let Hollings step forward and make that challenge, and then know that she's got a couple in support behind her on either side.
Into the challenge there was Oliver. Ball up forward from Wickstrom Leia. Last touch off a Fremantle City defender. Baldivis will stay on the front foot. They've started pretty well here. Not unnerved by the situation as well. Shouldn't be so surprised though. They've had an excellent season in the South Division 1. Just in case you are unaware, in the Metropolitan Leagues it is split by North and South as the strike comes in from long distance by Tegan McDonald. It was pretty tame, and then the effort from range, it was allowed to bounce by Tessa Cliff and then eventually was gathered. Yeah, so split by North and South in the Metropolitan competitions. Both of these teams, of course, coming from the South. We had an all-North final in the men's game a little earlier on. Fremantle City top of the amateur South Division competition. Just the one loss this season. Baldivis with just the one loss as well in Division 1. So both of these teams used to winning games. And it's been Baldivis' defence which has really steered them towards that league success. Just a 16 conceded in their season so far. And they're going to need every inch of that again today if they are to emerge over the team above them, a division above them.
Yeah, certainly couldn't pick the team from the higher division watching the opening minutes of this one. Both sides combative early and fighting for every ball. The only real chance did come for Fremantle, but Baldivis holding their own certainly, and here they go again.
Wickstrom Leia's been busy early, and here she is again marauding down the right-hand side. Little ball inside. We'll pick out Brianna Thompson. And eventually the effort will run all the way through for Tessa Cliff. And Fremantle City's defence has also only conceded 16 goals this season, the joint best with Curtin University. It should be said that Fremantle City also actually finished 10 points clear of Fremantle City Maroon, and you may be a little bit confused as to why there's two Fremantle City teams in the league, but we've got a black and a maroon, as Van der Meyeren will give pursuit here. Goalkeeper hesitated and eventually read that pretty well. So this is the Fremantle City black side predominantly who are playing in today's final. The maroon team finished second in the competition.
You're really confusing me, Tommy, because the Fremantle black team are wearing maroon and they're playing against Baldivis, who are wearing black.
Yeah, maybe I should articulate that a little better, perhaps, or just not make the point at all, at the risk of confusing our viewers at home. My apologies, viewers who we appreciate you joining us today on the Football West Facebook page, on the YouTube channel, wherever you may be watching around WA or around Australia. In fact, final day of the local season. In terms of the football on the pitch anyway, it's the main levels. We've still got some walking football and some other things that Football West do in the off-season, the office five-a-side as well. Football very much turning into a year-long sport. Before we know it, the night series will be back around in early February, and we'll be back on the microphone again, Sean.
Yeah, it comes around quickly. And we saw the back three of Baldivis in good effect there. The right centre half stepping forward, and on that occasion it was Hollings looping around behind. So I'd be guessing they've played this shape a bit this season by the way they're moving and covering for each other. It looks like a pretty interesting defence. I like seeing coaches try something different, and we'll see how they go.
Yeah, certainly an interesting tactical move anyway. As Sean says, it's something that Baldivis look very comfortable with at the moment. They seem to have a pretty fluent system. Clearance was just skewed off the outside of the boot there from Wilders and into touch. Thrown will be taken by Lara Giuliani. 16 appearances and a couple of goals this season from full-back. Wilders again. Baldivis' skipper leading by example at the back. Forward it comes now from Naomi DeClane. Keeping that one in play over on the far side was Maria Garcia. Play breaks down though, and then the clearance upfield. Should be reeled in firstly by DeClane, who will launch it long outfield, and it'll be throw in over on the far side. So both teams still finding their sort of pattern in this game. We saw a pretty cagey first half in the Metropolitan Men's Cup final, and it's certainly been a quite opening for both goalkeepers so far. But as Sean illustrated earlier, it's Baldivis who've settled into this game well. What can Van der Meyeren do in pursuit of Kim Wilson here? Wilson takes the safety first approach. Fremantle City stay on the front foot.
I was just going to say that. You mentioned safety first. It seems like that is the order of the day for this first half for Baldivis. There was the option there to turn, maybe play it back to the keeper and try and bring it out the other side, but they're obviously looking to just keep it tight and smother Fremantle early and perhaps try and take those occasional breaks down the wing backs and be patient. I think that's what they look like the plan is for this first half.
Fremantle City tried to carve out an opening down the right-hand side. It was Ashley Byrne who ultimately put the cross in, and she wins the afternoon's first corner. In it comes, it's right into the mixer. It almost hit Jessica Mitchell inadvertently inside the 6-yard box. I'm not sure she knew anything about it, and in the end the ball drifted harmlessly wide.
Yeah, I think she was expecting one of the players in front of her to jump and make contact with it. In the end, it didn't take any contact and almost hit her in the face. It's one of those, as a forward or on a corner, you just need to anticipate that no one's going to get a touch, and when it does, the unlikely event happen that it comes through to you, you're ready for it, but it's a lot easier said than done.
Wickstrom Leia and Oliver do battle. Fremantle City emerge the winners in that little battle. Giuliani, ball forward into the chest of Mitchell, who wasn't able to bring it down. Van der Meyeren will try her luck from distance, and watching that one wide of the post was Chloe Marshall. So Baldivis Districts FC 0, Fremantle City 0. Still early stages here. Decision goes the way of the Divas here. Wearing the black kit with the red trim and the red numbers. In comes the ball, showing interest here is Oliver, who gets the fall of the ball first, and Fremantle City take the lead. The set piece came into the mixel. Rachel Oliver read it best, and she stabs home the opening goal of the game. It's Baldivis Districts 0, Fremantle City 1.
Yeah, just good anticipation, a set piece in the end it is that breaks down the stubborn Baldivis setup, and now it's going to be interesting here. You wonder how they can convert this formation into a slightly more attacking one now that they will need at least one goal if they're going to win this.
Yeah, doing the chasing early then Baldivis. A goal which, as Sean hinted at before, they may be a little disappointed to concede. They did look pretty comfortable in open play, and then just not dealing with the set piece into the area, and the ball broke the way of Oliver, who's on the ball now, and she manages to poke home the game's opening goal. Chloe Marshall with no chance, and here come City again through Jessica Mitchell. Oliver arrived again and just couldn't quite get her boot over the ball, and over the bar it went.
Well, that's twice now Fremantle have got into good positions. I think it was Buffton first and Oliver this time. When they get to the byline and cut it back, that back three is so preoccupied with those forward players that there's quite often a little bit of space. If they can get it to the byline, cut it back, that's where they've created their best chances, apart from, of course, the goal which came from a set piece. So Baldivis really need to be alive to that and perhaps have one of their midfielders prepared to do that dirty work and get back and fill that space.
Yeah, that's a really good spot actually, Sean. The midfield runners have certainly been the ones who have gotten past. The back three has marked out Van der Meyeren pretty well, but Oliver and Buffton and Ashley Byrne as well. Jessica Mitchell too over on that far side have managed to get themselves into the game. And it's the early goal that City would have been wanting, of course. Really well established, well known side in women's football. And here they go now as Van der Meyeren gives chase. It was a good ball from Oliver, and the challenge from Kim Wilson was a beauty. Well timed, well executed.
Yeah, sensational tackle from Kim Wilson. Absolutely 100% contact with the ball there. Really, really well timed. Had to be as well.
Oliver's ball in, it's headed away by Baldivis partially, and then they complete the clearance. It's only as far as Lawney though. Eventually possession's turned over. Now what can Baldivis do? It's going to break eventually for Brianna Thompson, who's got a little bit of time to turn. Wickstrom Leia comes in to help out. Wilder's had to stretch the leg every bit to make that interception with Van der Meyeren lurking, and now Buffton, the skipper, wins the ball. Oliver, switch of the play, intercepted by McDonald. Both teams just trying to get a foot on the ball now. The ball is eventually played wide for Mitchell. Wilson has been a steadying player at the back so far, and she makes another important intervention and wins her team a throw in the process. Yeah, just to touch back on Fremantle City quickly. They top four finishes in the women's NPL season twice in a row. League winners at under 23 level in the NPLW competition in back-to-back seasons as well. Lost on a penalty shootout to Perth in the top four cup final a couple of weeks ago. And you've seen the Fremantle City black side and the maroon team in the amateur leagues. It's a team which has a lot of female players, a lot of good talent. And an opportunity to see some of those players looking to possibly make the step up down the line. It just goes to show there's plenty of depth at the club. Buffton with a good piece of composure there to win the ball. Pass was a little sloppy on the way back out from Byrne. It was cut out by Megan Love. Wilson should be able to mop this one up.
Yeah, huge credit, Tommy, as you mentioned, needs to go to everyone involved at the Fremantle City setup, particularly in the women's game. To be able to field that many teams and be that successful in that many different competitions is a real testament to the work that goes on there. A lot of hard work behind the scenes, as there is in every football club. So, yeah, my hat goes off to everyone.
Yeah, and to Baldivis as well. It's obviously a team we're not particularly familiar with in terms of the NPL, WA and the State League, Sean, but good to see women's football clearly thriving. They've got a good team in Division 1 who've done well this season, won the league, and hopefully that encourages a few more of the juniors there at the club to continue pursuing that dream to play women's football at a higher level. We've obviously spoke about the excitement in the game at the moment. You touched on it a little bit earlier on, and of course the Women's World Cup in 2023, Perth, the host city. Plenty of motivation for these girls, and you can see by the crowd here today that there's plenty of interest in the women's game as well. A lot of players who've stayed back from the men's game earlier, some who are still awaiting the third game possibly, and obviously the women's football community on a larger scale probably out as well. Wilders puts the ball into touch under the attention of Van der Meyeren, who didn't get on the end of the throw-in. In fact, it went over her head. The clearance was only as far as Mitchell. Last touch was off Yates. Fremantle City stay on the front foot. So it still looks as though Baldivis is sticking with that shape, Sean, that they started the game with. Obviously, it's still fairly early in the game. You don't want to concede a second goal and make life hard for yourself.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect any change in the first half and probably well into the second, as long as the score stays how it is. You mentioned in open play, apart from needing to keep an eye on those late runs, they've done well to corral the Fremantle forwards. The couple of players in behind, the wide players in behind Van der Meyeren, and Van der Meyeren herself not having too much joy because they are stepping out and getting in front of those passes and stopping the play before it develops. But as I've mentioned, just a couple of times they just need to be aware of that play down the wings and get a couple of midfield runners tracking that.
Not sure if you saw that on camera, but I just saw Brianna Thompson come to the bench and pass a note to Magenta Wilders. A little slip of paper, no doubt something that the coaching staff have identified. Donald aims the ball forward. Thompson probably would have been offside had she gone early to try and claim the ball, and in the end it runs all the way to Tessa Cliff. Header forward from Yates, looking for Nicola Jones. Yates is now having to backtrack and do defensive duties as Mitchell looks to feed the ball through for Van der Meyeren, who went a little bit early, broke that last line and was flagged offside.
And once again, even though she did get the jump and go a little bit early, by the time she had it under control, she had one centre-half goal side of her, one centre-half the other side of her, and it would have taken a bit of magic to beat both of them and score. So the game plan as far as keeping her under wraps seems to be working so far.
Shouts for handball. And the handball was spotted by Diana Reeves, who's the official out in the middle today. Great to see an all-female refereeing panel as well. In fact, there's been a late change to the refereeing names that I have on my list anyway. Diana Reeves is the assistant. We've got Zara Board and Geong on the line, and the fourth official in Jacqueline Harris. We speak about women's players in the game as well, Sean, but obviously Jess Bird, Libby Caldwell, some good women's officials as well that we've seen in the NPLW competition, and it's great to see women involved at all levels of the game, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. I'll be emceeing the refereeing awards night next weekend, which I'm really looking forward to. You mentioned Jess Bird. I think she's been very highly heralded this season, and the last few for her work, and always a ref I enjoy watching, and it's not often that you say that about referees, but we do have some very, very top quality refs in the women's game and refereeing the men's game at times as well, which is great to see.
Going to see a change here for Fremantle City. It's going to be Vanda Mayron who comes off, and on her place will be the number 18, who I'm just trying to identify my team sheet. It's Megan Layton. I believe we do have the interchange system in terms of the substitutes for the Metropolitan game, Sean.
Yeah, it looks like Layton will come on and take up a position out on the right, and Jessica Mitchell, who was operating on the right side, will come in and play in that striker's position that Vanda Mayron was occupying, as she now has a quick chat with the coaching staff.
Which from Leia's throw, Wilders tried to flick on. It was cleared away by Fremantle City. Ball comes back forward again. Unsure where her goalkeeper was DeClane, and in the end she cushioned the header back. Not without a couple of nervous moments, but all's well that ends well. Layson will try and get involved in the action here. Wilson should get to the ball first, and does. Yates will keep it in play. She tries to scoot past Layton and does so pretty easily. Ball up for line for Nicola Jones. It stayed in play. Now into the feet of Wilders, who's gone forward, interestingly enough, it seems. Having started the game at the back, the skipper. Maybe that was the change that was on the piece of paper we saw passed out earlier, Sean. It looks as though it's a bit of a front three now for Baldivis and 4 at the back.
Brandon Thompson there for Baldivis, getting into an attacking position just outside the 18-yard box. Fired away. Would have liked her to lower her eyes a little there. She did have a runner inside in Wilders, and I think perhaps the pass there was the better option than blazing away.
Yeah, Thompson has scored 3 times in the 4 cup games. Possibly just drifting out wide a little bit, trying to get more involved in the game rather than being isolated up top. Yates keeps it in play over on that far side. She'll come inboard. The right-footed ball was a fizzer. It nearly landed at the feet of Love, and it'll instead roll wide for Thompson, who tried to retreat back to Whitstrom Leia. And in the end, Oliver, the goal scorer, was in the right position to deal with the danger. Still not clear just yet, though. Wilson had to be alert as Mitchell was pressing, and Fremantle City now will have an opportunity to launch an attack here from the throw-in. Clearance upfield there was from McDonald, and I think that was given as a handball. And even though it looked as though it hit Oliver in the back. Referee possibly had a better angle than us here. Buffton, who's got through a power of work so far, looks like a real good player in the centre of the park for Fremantle City. Here she is again. Just as I say that, she turns over possession. Thompson and Wilders were converging. Up in the air was Andriek, and it will stay in play for Giuliani. Ball from Byrne was threaded through, which Stromlaya should get there first. The chase was on for Oliver. And in the end, the ball just ran out of play, and Baldivis will get us restarted again.
I've been particularly impressed with Tegan McDonald. Her reading of the game, she's, I reckon, made about 3 or 4 interceptions by my count, and just seems to read the build-up well and steps forward and gets a foot in when she needs to. The challenge for them is going to be, with all these players back, getting numbers forward to support that front 2 or front 3, depending on the state of the game. And then that power of work that's going to need to done by that midfield of Bailey Thompson and Megan Love at the moment. It's a really tough job for them and a lot on their shoulders.
Throw went forward there to Ashley Byrne, who tried to put the cross in, and it was charged down by a black shirt. City will have their second corner of the afternoon. It's going to be Andrić who spins this one in. An in-swinger. It's aimed in towards the 6-yard area. Byrne was arriving. It nearly broke for Oliver again, who will try and keep in play. And she was able to do so, but Wilders was on the scene and then looked as though it just took a touch off the instep as she attempted to punt it upfield. Fremantle City keen to get it moving. Ball forward was from Buffton. Up and away from Love. Brianna Thompson will slide forward. Wilders will give pursuit. She'll get there eventually and will now be in a foot race with DeClane, and Baldivis will inch a little bit further forward. How have you seen that move of Wilders forward, Sean? It was certainly an interesting one as the Divas get set to make a change.
Yeah, I think partly due to what I was saying, the struggle with getting numbers forward and getting that attacking football going when you have all these numbers at the back, and maybe needing someone perhaps reads the game slightly differently as the change is made. And yeah, you saw before when they tried to carry it out from the back and there was no one down the line, and the pass had to be delayed, and we ended up with the miss hit off the instep, which is partly due to not having that option the first time. So they really need to work hard on when they do win the ball and they do get it to the likes of Anna Wittstrom-Leo, who's on the ball there and winning the throw, that they have something down the line. And if you're not the right winger or if you're out of position, then you really need your striker over there to do that.
Wilders driving into the area, still here for Wilders, who stabbed the effort across goal, and then coming across was, I think it was Andrić who was back there. That change, by the way, a moment or so ago was Angela Rooney coming onto the pitch and Megan Love going off. Decent little spell here for Baldivis. It's Maya Wittstrom-Leo with the corner. Divas have got plenty of bodies in the areas for this one. Attacking it at the near post was Ashley Hollings. Wittstrom-Leo then in with a firm challenge. In fact, it was a Fremantle City defender who went in. That was Amy Buffton. And an opportunity for Baldivis once again to put some quality into the penalty area.
Yeah, a bit of a rash tackle. Never looked like she was going to win that ball there. I think perhaps lucky to escape without a booking there, the Fremantle City captain.
And it comes from Hollings. It's dinked into that near post. And Andrić was there and just chesting it away from the danger. It's still here for Baldivis. Trying to get a glance on the ball there was Hollings there, I think it was. In fact, it was Wilders who was lurking on the edge of the 6-yard box and ran for Cliff. Now Mitchell at the other end. Last touch there was off Wilson, I feel, and we're going to have a couple of corners in quick succession. Andrić with the latest set piece. It's a good delivery, and again it's headed away by McDonald. Wilders won the 50-50. Didn't win the second one, although the ball still broke Baldivis' way. Forward it went from Rooney into the feet of Thompson. There was two players over on the far side and she was unable to pick out either of them, unfortunately. Now, Mitchell looks as though she may have been offside. In the end, she left it for Rachel Oliver. And last touch was off Baldivis' shirt.
Yeah, went and got her own ball in the end. I think the Fremantle forward realises she was offside and staying away from it. Such a disappointing pass there in that Baldivis counter-attack you mentioned as the flag goes up on the far side for offside. They had a 3-on-2 and so much space on the far side as well. And, yeah, just in the rush to pick that ball, probably played it a little quickly without assessing all the options.
That's the voice of Sean Fry. My name's Tommy Dolman. Baldivis Districts FC 0, Fremantle City 1. Rachel Oliver with the game's only goal so far. Action live this afternoon on the Football West YouTube channel and on the Facebook page. It's belt up cup final day for the Metropolitan and the amateur competitions. Perth Soccer Club 1, North Perth United 0 a little earlier on. Later today, Maccabi SC and North Perth, and then North Perth and South Perth United in the amateurs. A couple of good games to look forward to as Yates puts behind and Fremantle City have yet another corner, and Andriich will go forward once more to take.
Yeah, and more good defensive work from that back three or back five, however you want to look at it, of Baldivis. On that occasion, it's the left wing back in Chantel Yates. Most of their attacking plays being done down the right through Whitstrom Lair, but Yates had to be doing a tracking back there to cut that one out as the other centre half stepped forward to cut out that danger, and she did it well.
Andriich's deliveries have been on the money so far. Let's see what this can yield. This one's fizzed into the near post, and Sean just said well done to me there because I've put the commentator's curse. Sorry, Zoe.
Yeah, it's unavoidable if you decide to praise a player, Tommy. They will always let you down within the next couple of minutes.
Moral of the story, Sean, stop praising players. Now, been a good game so far between these two teams. Fremantle City with the upper hand so far. Baldivis, vision below, certainly haven't looked out of place though. As a double substitution happens for Fremantle City, we've got the number 3 in Eliza Mitchell coming on, and we've also got the number 5 in Amy Perimididis coming on. We've got a couple of players who will take a seat for Fremantle City. One of them's Ashley Byrne. The other I'm still trying to work out. Mitchell. Back for Lawney. Pass up the line is a little away from Leighton. And that'll just zip away and run out of play. So Baldivis spoke about their good league season before. 10 wins, 7 draws, and just the one loss. That loss actually came on the last round of the season, which prevented an unbeaten campaign. It was a loss at home to Port Kennedy, so not often that you get the opportunity to go through an undefeated season, and Baldivis unfortunately let that moment slip on the final day, but no doubt they'll care little about that. It was the silverware that they lifted for winning the league, which will mean a lot more, I'm sure. And I'm certain they'll look to get themselves back into the game. Just that final pass perhaps letting them down a little bit at the moment. They certainly haven't looked out of place against this Fremantle City team, a division above them.
You never forget, though, that one team that ruins your perfect season. Tommy, as a Liverpool fan, I'll be cursing Watford until the day I die, but you are right. You do not care about it too much at the end of the day. If you get the trophy, that's all that matters.
Good to see you don't hold a grudge on that still, Sean. Big game tonight, actually, in the Premier League. On a side note, Liverpool versus Manchester City. One that... long day for us, starting at 10 a.m. I'll do my best to try and stay up till 11:30 tonight to watch that one with work tomorrow morning. As Fremantle City look to come forward once more, the pass forward from Perimabida will set Amy Buffton a pretty tough task, and in the end it's going to be watched over the byline by Kim Wilson. Just to go back to Baldivis quickly, 10 clean sheets this season. And they have only been held scoreless once all campaign, and that was that 2-0 defeat to Port Kennedy on the final day. So, as I said before, they're used to winning games, they're used to scoring goals. Although they've got a little bit of defending to do here, but Wilson is able to prod the ball away into touch.
Yeah, just a poor goal kick there, but Yates reading it well again and tracking back, making the intervention there to prevent Fremantle from perhaps getting into a more dangerous position.
Angela Rooney spun that one wide. Maya Wickstrom Leia wasn't able to get the handle on it. Ball is now back wide for Giuliani, who wasn't quite able to bring under control. Wickstrom Leia stuck to her task. Now she's got a couple of Fremantle City players to contend with. And the assistant wasn't sure. So the referee made the call and gave the decision away of Fremantle City. Leighton, Giuliani. A little bit of space for Perimabida. The cross comes in, and allowing that one to bounce was Chloe Marshall, who was then worn pretty heavily by a strong challenge from the arriving midfielder there. Over on that far side. It was Eliza Mitchell who was arriving late on the scene. So inching a little bit closer towards the end of 45 minutes now, Sean. It's been a pretty good game. Fremantle City have largely had the better of Baldivis so far, though, in terms of that threat on goal that the Division 1 team have posed. Just some thoughts from yourself on the first half before we draw to a close, and what you think Baldivis can do in the second half to get back into the game.
Well, I think let's keep it tight. I think they've defended well, as I said, at those couple of moments where the midfield need to track their runners. But apart from that, the strike force of Fremantle hasn't really been allowed to operate, and it was just a set piece that brought them undone. So, look, it's a cup final. You need one goal, keep it tight, and then maybe they make a change and try and throw a few numbers forward at the end. But certainly not out of this one by any stretch. I've got some halftime presentations to do, Tommy, for the women's game this season. A few Golden Boot winners and outstanding performers. So I'll leave you for now and join you back for the second half.
See you shortly, Sean. Yeah, don't go anywhere at half-time. Presentations and medals to be presented at the interval. As the dying embers of this first half draw down, we've got a Baldivis free kick and an opportunity perhaps for the Divas to launch one last attack at the end of this first half. Yates forward, Wickstrom Leia will try and buff it. Oliver off the ball, and then Buffton will thread the ball through. It's Megan Leighton who's in on goal here. She tried to get the strike in, and it was a wonderful challenge once again from Wilson, who came over and took all ball and saved Fremantle City, well, saved Baldivis, in fact, from trailing 2 goals at the interval. It's as good a challenge as you'll see. on the last line of defence. We've seen a couple of those from Wilson so far in this game. Marshall once again a little hesitant. Leighton showing interest, but Wilson was on the scene. A chance perhaps for Fremantle City just before half-time. Andriich's ball in. The corner came in. The header was actually over the bar. And Dinah Reeves blew the half-time whistle almost immediately after that header was made. So an efficient piece of officiating, and it's half-time here at Macedonia Park. Fremantle City come off to a warm round of applause from their supporters just in front of us and to our left, because they lead by a 1-0. A goal which was provided to them by Rachel Oliver after a set piece. Wasn't quite cleared by Baldivis' defence, and Oliver was all on her own and reading the ball best and stabbing in the opening goal. Baldivis certainly haven't looked out of place, though. They've given plenty of huff and puff in the first 45 minutes, but haven't quite been able to really pose Tessacliff a problem. And that means that there's work to do for the Division 1 team if they are to score a goal to possibly get back into this game and lift a second piece of silverware themselves for the season. So that's 45 minutes up here at Macedonia Park. Baldivis 0, Fremantle City 1. And we'll cross down to Sean Fry with the half-time presentations of the Metropolitan Women's Competitions in season 2021. We'll be back with the second half shortly.
Over here, that is the rest of Tamaroo of Northern Red Jack Soccer Club. The rest of was also the top goal scorer, which will also be presented out by Louise Grass. Congratulations on a fantastic season. We would also like to congratulate the Women's Metro North Division 1 winners, Bassendean Caledonians, the Women's Metro South Division 1 winners, Baldivis Districts, and in that competition, the Women's Metro South Division, the Golden Boot was won by Katie Thompson of Victoria Barcelona. Congratulations, Katie. We'd also like to congratulate the Women's Metro North Division 2 winners, Wanneroo City, the Women's Metro South Division 2 winners, Curtin University, the Women's Metro North Division 3 winners, Wanneroo City, and we have here today the Women's Metro North Division 3 Golden Boot winner, Nyandeng Now, Queen's Football Club. Congratulations, Nyandeng. We will also congratulate the Women's Metro South Division 3 winners, Leading Strikers Soccer Club. And it was the Leading Strikers Soccer Club's Emily Kelly that won the Golden Boot of that division. Congratulations, Emily. In addition, we would also like to award the Golden Boot for the North Division 1 to Cassandra Stacey, the North Division 2 Golden Boot winner Louise Wilson, and the South Division 2 Golden Boot winner Katie Watson. Congratulations, Cassandra, Louise and Katie, and to all of our other winners today. Please put your hands together.
Welcome back to Macedonia Park for the second half of this Belt-Up Women's Metropolitan Cup final match between Baldivis Districts and Fremantle City FC. Fremantle City leading by a 1-0, courtesy of Rachel Oliver's strike in the first half. Free kick which wasn't cleared by the Divas' defence, and Oliver was on hand to poke into the back of the net from close range. It's the game's decisive moment so far, and City get us off and underway for the second 45 minutes. Forward from Yates. Paramabida will swing a boot at it. Now the ball comes forward for Fremantle City, who are looking to make a little bit of headway early in this second half. It's Amy Bufton who drives down. The cross was looking for Oliver in the middle. It was an important intervention from Yates, I think it was, who was back there. In comes the cross, this time from Rebecca Moore, who was introduced as a half-time substitute. A substitute that I didn't notice. Paramabida. Bailey Thompson stepping in there. Fremantle City looking to start the second half well. Yates with an important foot in, and then sliding in was Paramabida. Ball will eventually break for Yates, though, who's got a bit of time to look up and assess her options. It'll break eventually for Sophia Madani. Ball forward now for Jessica Mitchell. Fremantle City with something to chase. It's end-to-end in this first 45 minutes. And eventually the cross is gathered by Chloe Marshall. And chance now to welcome back to the commentary position Sean Fry, who was busy with some half-time emceeing duties. The trophy presentations will get him back involved shortly. In fact, I'll pass you over to Sean now.
Yeah, good to be back. Just had to get those emceeing duties done, Tommy. You know how important that is. But looking forward to this second half. Everyone I've spoken to at half-time is really enjoying this one. It's been a good battle, and I think so far has almost looked like a strike that was headed towards the goal there, but still with a chance to give my thoughts that they have really battled well, Baldivis, and they have really defended well, and particularly as she's stepping forward and making a tackle. I was going to make mention of her before. Chantel Yates has defended really well. As Fremantle have a chance now.
Eliza Mitchell with the ball forward. Jessica Mitchell was trying to run onto the pass. Strong challenge yet again from Wilson, which drew the cheers and perhaps the jeers of a few supporters under the grandstand here. It certainly has got the crowd making plenty of noise.
Yeah, another good tackle, I thought. We've seen a few of those today. I think she got just enough of the ball. One of those where it wasn't a clean win, but probably just enough to avoid the free kick. And I think it'll be a goal kick now for Baldivis.
Yeah, play was allowed to continue. The last touch was off a maroon shirt. Baldivis get us restarted. Bufton threads a marvellous pass through for Eliza Mitchell, who's in behind here. The cross was cut out by Wilson, who's been one of the players of the game for me at the back. She's been magnificent in the centre of that defence.
They had those numbers back on that occasion, Baldivis. So I think something that the coaching staff noticed in that first half to be aware of those pullbacks. They really flooded the box there when Fremantle looked like they would have an opportunity to pull it back into space.
Thrown from Rebecca Moore. Gates has been busy throughout the afternoon, in particular at the start of this second half. The pass will run all the way through for Wilders, who tried to help it onto her teammate, and Sophia Madani. Forward it goes again. Paramabida stepping in. First the ball should be Nicola Jones, who helps it up the line, but the ball had already crossed the line over on that far side. So in terms of the journeys that both of these teams have been on to reach this cup final today, Fremantle City dispatched Subiaco and Woodvale of Division 2 pretty comfortably in the earlier rounds, and then a win over fellow amateur team Curtin on penalties. It's probably their toughest game on paper, and then wins over Mum FC of Division 1 and Brooklands of Division 2 in the semi-final. A 3-1 win over Brooklands. Goals from Byrne, Kate Thayer and Amy Perrin-Bedita were key that day. And they're coming forward here with eyes on a second perhaps, but once again Wilson magnificently dealing with the danger there. Now Yates forward. Brought down well by Moore. Couldn't quite keep the ball in play though. It was just running away from her as the touchline was approaching. Baldivis, meanwhile, defeated Balga of the amateurs in round 1 to get their cup run underway. Then wins over South Perth United, Bassendean Caledonians 4-3 on penalties, and Perth Saints as well. And then in the semi-final they upset amateur side Forest Field by 2-0. 2 goals from Brianna Thompson got the job done on that day. And I can actually tell you that Forest Field are the only team that have kept Fremantle City scoreless this season. So certainly the form holds up in terms of them meriting their place in this decider today. As Buffton looks for the feed of Perrin-Bedita. Yates, strong challenge on Mitchell. Well, at least I thought it was anyway, and I think Yates, with a smile and a couple of thumbs down, agrees with us in the commentary position.
Yeah, never a free kick in a million years, that one. She's done a really good job defensively, we've already mentioned today, and for me that was another superb tackle. Read it well, got out there fast, and yeah, just did the job, pinched the ball, and unfortunately that denies Baldivis a bit of a counter-attack, and that'll be a handball.
Yeah, Yates a little bit unlucky there, as was Mitchell actually, who looked to latch onto that free kick and was almost through on goal had it not been for a handball. Thompson tries to outbody her opponent, does really well. A little bit of space down this right-hand side to make something happen. The pass inboard was looking for Rooney. Nice little passage of play here for Baldivis, but once again they run into that firm Fremantle City rear guard. Stepping in there was Zara Lawney. Baldivis win the ball back. Thompson's lurking, so Andrić has to be quick with her decision-making and is to Perrin-Bedita. Jones first back and safety first once to get into touch.
Yeah, just a little slow in the build-up, Baldivis, at the moment. They're not getting any runners in behind, and a lot of that, I think, is due to a slightly ponderous movement of the ball, and Fremantle doing really well as credit to them in just slowly dropping back and slowing up the attack in midfield. But here we go. Here's a chance of quick movement, and away they go.
Yeah, Wilders turns around the corner for Brianna Thompson, who's bearing down on goal. She takes on the early shot, and then unsure whether to punch or catch there was Tessa Cliff. In the end, she raced after the ball, trying to make up for her error, and did just enough to ensure that was a corner.
Well, that's exactly what they need to do. They need to get it into those open spaces, get some forwards running onto those, in behind that Fremantle defence if they can, and they can only do that if they move the ball quickly, as they did on that occasion.
Yates with the corner here. It's aimed in towards the penalty spot. It may yet run all the way through for Tegan McDonald. Good battle there from Wilson, and unfortunately unfortunately for Baldivis anyway, the referee has spotted an infringement.
Yeah, I think a handball there. The ball did hit the arm, I think, of the Baldivis player, but it's one of the gripes that I have with the rule makers in football, Tommy, is that handballs just become such a big part of the game when it was never intended to be that way, I don't think.
Jessica Mitchell shrugged off Bailey Thompson, but assistant's flag Geong went up. And maybe you can ask Arsene Wenger to have a chat about that handball rule, Sean. He seems to have plenty of good ideas, not least a World Cup every 2 years. Not sure what your thoughts are on that.
Oh, I think the response to that's been a bit sensationalised. I think if you look at his larger plan, there are a number of good points. Whether or not the World Cup every 2 years is a good idea, I think the overall plan for less travel and less games is certainly good, and more meaningful games. But, you know, just not here to talk about FIFA because there's quite a few issues with them.
Clearance was up the line there from Eliza Mitchell. Fremantle City will make a couple of changes. It'll be Alice van der Meyeren who comes back onto the pitch. So too Megan Layton. A couple of players coming off for Fremantle City. One of them Amy Buffton, the skipper. We are on an interchange system, of course, in the Metropolitan competitions. Sliding in there was Naomi DeClane, and Baldivis just having a little spell here. Just about their best of the game so far. A period where they're penning Fremantle City deep into their territory. It's Yates' throw, it's Mitchell's header away. It's only as far as Madani, who just lost the handle on it, and clearing into touch there, I think, was Mitchell again.
Yeah, really good second half so far from Baldivis. They've defended well in that first half. We mentioned a few times it was just a set piece that brought them unstuck. Other than that, open play, they've really only conceded 1 or 2 chances, and you know they weren't gilt-edged chances by any means. So they've done really well defensively. They just need to start being able to turn that into some promising counter-attacks, and they've just showed signs in the last 5 minutes that they are going to be able to do that. So hopefully it continues in the interest of the neutrals anyway.
Layton poked forward for Mitchell, who was bombing forward from fullback. Now Van der Meyeren, the little slide across goal. Layton was still forward. She'll turn on the edge of the area and look back for Van der Meyeren, who threads through a lovely reverse ball for Oliver, and getting across once again. Guess who? Kim Wilson.
Yeah, superb defending again. It has been the way all through this match so far. I think pretty much out the entire backline of Baldivis, you could say, have had a great game so far. They have been asked to do a lot, and for the most part, they've been more than up to the challenge.
In comes the throw. Was looking for the head of Oliver. Charging that one down was Bailey Thompson. The last touch there was off. Well, I thought it was Van der Meyeren, but it was actually off Thompson in that 50-50 challenge, and Fremantle City will earn themselves a corner. Chance to possibly find a second goal, which, on the evidence of what we've seen today, will make it really hard for Baldivis to get back into this one.
Yeah, I think a second goal would just about kill this one off, and set piece was the undoing for the first. Let's see if Fremantle can conjure up something again from a dead ball.
Andrea just had plenty of opportunities to swing in a delivery today. The latest is over on the far side. It'll be an out swinger on that left peg. And it comes, it's driven into the near post. It's cleared away by Wilson again, I believe, who's marshalling her defence up and out. Baldivis nearly interested in a turnover there. Instead, Fremantle recycle the ball. The pass was looking for Mitchell, and Yates is able to shield out. Forward again from Yates. Tessa Cliff is off her line and outside the area, and just clearing upfield for Oliver. Lovely spin in midfield from Rachel Oliver, the goal scorer, who kept her feet and found Layton. Layton tries to thread the ball through for Mitchell, who's goal side here. It's Eliza Mitchell. It's Wilson once again, spectacularly. Geez, her reading of the play's been superb all afternoon.
Yeah, rare lapse there from Yates it was today, where she just misjudged that ball. I think she'll be one of the 4 Baldivis players making way. I'll let you do all those names, Tommy, because I don't think I'm up for it. But, yeah, as you mentioned, it was Wilson covering for Yates, and that's what they've done so well. It's not just been individual players making plays when they have misjudged one or when a player has got in behind. It's covering for your teammates and making up for any mistakes that any of your teammates might make. That's the thing they've done really well today.
Yeah, quadruple change there for Baldivis. As Sean said before, we'll try and piece that all together for you shortly. Meanwhile, the ball comes forward here. It's aimed in towards centre forward there for Baldivis, wearing the number 12. A player whose name I don't have on my team sheet, unfortunately. Might be Madison Down.
I'll find that out for you, Tommy, but I wanted to make note of it. Good, quick ball movement there and a beautiful little backheel from Whitstrom Lee in the build-up. This is better. Certainly from an attacking sense, they're starting to look a little bit more determined.
It was Bailey Thompson. It was Bailey Thompson. It was Nicola Jones. It was Angela Rooney. And it was... also Chantel Yates, who came off. I think I've given you 4 names there. And on in their place. A few changes onto the pitch. We've got Hollings. We've got the number 17 there. Sorry, that was Ashley Hollings, the number 17. We'll come back to that in a second. It was Madison Down, who was the number 12. The shot comes in from distance and getting her body behind the ball. After the shot of Sophia Madani was Tessa Cliff. It was Megan Love, Michelle Young, Ashley Hollings and Madison Down, the 4 players who came on for Baldivis there. As Fremantle City try to seek out that second goal. It was Rachel Oliver turning back in the middle. Ball may still be here for Fremantle City, but coming across with a sliding challenge there. May have been Wilson again. In fact, no, it was Tegan McDonald. My apologies.
Whitstrom Lee just looking like she's operating in a slightly different position now for Baldivis, perhaps more of a inside right forward. Doesn't look like an out-and-out winger, but it's an interesting position she's taking up, and she was really heavily involved in the build-up. As I mentioned, that little back heel flick that she gave to the wing-back running on, so we'll see how she goes there. She was quite impressive at right wing-back, I thought, first half.
Yeah, she was really prominent in a lot of what Baldivis did well in that first 45 minutes. Once again there, as you saw on your screen, it was Wilson who was heading away with Eliza Mitchell lurking. Mitchell actually will now go over to take the corner, and Baldivis not alert to the short corner just yet. Now Megan Love does go out.
Almost 4 players up for Baldivis on about 10 yards inside their half. They really are throwing numbers forward now.
Yeah, caution of the wind, and why not when you've got a player like Wilson back there who's winning every challenge at the moment, and there she is again. Yeah, that's a great observation from you there, Sean. 4 players up front after that corner. Certainly not leaving anything to the imagination, but as you say, they've got to get a goal to get back into this one. They trail by 1-0 thanks to Rachel Oliver's first half strike. And the last touch was off Oliver there, I feel, and it'll be a goal kick for Baldivis.
Yeah, quite often you'll see 1 or sometimes 2 players up when the opposition have a corner, but 4 players there. I don't know whether it's a little bit early for that, considering they did concede from a set piece, but obviously they do need a goal, and The caution, as you said, is being thrown to the wind. We'll see how they set up for this one.
Well, if that last set piece was anything to go by, they're certainly not going to die wondering. Megan Love there with a challenge on Oliver. Fremantle City get another crack at it, and Baldivis have left 5 players up. Defending with 5 in the area. Fremantle City have 4 in the area, so it's a very open penalty area. Oliver will win the header. It may yet break through for Van der Meyeren, who got the strike on goal. And I feel there was a crucial foot in there somewhere. It was probably Wilson again. In fact, I think it was. And Baldivis survive.
Well, that's the risk you take with such an empty, vacant penalty area with, as you mentioned, just 5 defenders. I don't think I've ever seen that at football at any level. They really are taking a chance here. 1 less now. They've got 6 back, but 1 on the edge of the area, still 4 up. 4v4 on halfway.
Corner comes in, it's aimed in towards the edge of the area. Going to get there first will be Sophia Madani. Now, if Baldivis can win the ball here, they're off and away. They've got the numbers forward, as we touched on before, but the move broke down. It was a crucial foot in there, I think, from Mitchell, and then the pass eventually works its way forward out of the reach of Van der Meyer, and it's gathered gratefully by Chloe Marshall.
Again, it just needs to be quicker. You can do a lot worse if you're a Baldivis player at the moment than if you get that ball in that position. Just hoof it forward. You've got a 4v4 on halfway there. Just thump the ball forward. Hope you can find some space and get a runner on the end of it.
Wickstrom, Leia and Michelle Young tried to exchange passes down the right-hand side. Baldivis will get the throw in, but not before Rachel Oliver will be substituted for Lara Giuliani. Like-for-like replacement there, I suspect, on the left-hand side of the pitch. Here come Baldivis. Foot came in from Fremantle City's defence on that occasion. Thrown in once again towards Brianna Thompson. Last touch was off a Fremantle City leg. And now Baldivis will have a set piece. Let's see what the numbers are like at the other end of the pitch, Sean. It'll be interesting to see.
Just the one up top for Fremantle. Everyone else in the penalty area, far more conventional setup for defending this corner. But obviously, when you've got the lead, it's a much easier job.
Yeah, to be expected, I suppose. Ashley Hollings will walk over to take the set piece. Baldivis with half a dozen in the penalty area awaiting this delivery from Hollings, who aims it in towards the penalty spot. Madani was there on the penalty spot, and with better contact there, that may have yielded an opportunity for Baldivis. Forward it goes again from Kim Wilson, and then down on the halfway line is Megan Layton, who must admit I was following the ball in the air, so I didn't see what happened there. I'm not sure if she picked up an injury while running. And unfortunately, she's going to make way, and Ashley Byrne will come back on.
Yeah, just looked like a twist or a sprain. Don't think there was any contact there. Went down under her own volition, and hopefully it's nothing more serious than just a little tweak. But yeah, that corner from before, that is the best set-piece delivery we've seen, I think, all day. All you want from an in-swinging corner is low with pace and a bit of curl on the penalty spot. And as you said, a bit of better contact, and that's in the back of the net. Baldivis really pushing.
Good to see Layton was able to walk off the pitch, obviously assisted by a couple of teammates, but as Sean says, hopefully nothing too serious there for the forward. Meanwhile, her replacement Graham's on the ball now. In fact, it's Byrne, my apologies. Last touch was off a Baldivis player. That was Thompson. who switched flanks. Forward from Mitchell, Vandermeeren gives pursuit. Been a great battle between her and Kim Wilson all afternoon. Wilson heads back over the touchline. Fremantle City with an opportunity perhaps to relaunch. In it goes. Wilson once again wins the header. Vandermeeren and Wilson then arrive and meet at the ball together, and the decision goes the way of Baldivis. So still the one goal separating these two teams. Baldivis 0, Fremantle City 1. Tommy Dolman and Sean Fry with you on Belt Up Cup final day for the amateur and the metropolitan competitions. Action live from Macedonia Park on the Football West YouTube channel and on the Facebook page. Earlier today, Perth Soccer Club 1, North Perth United 0. In a men's Metropolitan Cup final still to come, it's Maccabi and North Perth United in the Reserves Amateur Cup final. And then North Perth United versus South Perth United in the Amateur First Team final. All that action you can find on the Football West platforms throughout the afternoon as Mitchell tries to put the cross in. Wilson, I hate to keep repeating myself, but she's been in absolutely everything this afternoon, and once again she's charging down that cross. Vandermeeren coming across there was Wilders with a firm challenge and then clearing into touch. And giving Fremantle City another throw will be Mitchell, who slings it in. Madani got a foot on it. Little miscommunication initially. Sean just urging Baldivis to move the ball quickly. They've done so pretty well, although the final pass from Madani was a little off the mark. And now you just sense the game starting to open up a little bit more as driving down this left-hand side is Giuliani, and coming across with the challenge was Wilders. And over the touchline it went.
Yeah, it's going to get harder and harder as this game goes on for Baldivis to find that space in behind, because obviously when the time ticks down, Fremantle will start sitting deeper and deeper and be happy to soak up the pressure with the one-goal lead. There's still some designs in the Fremantle game plan to get that second. The goal that obviously they feel will clinch the game, but when we get down to the last 5 or 10 minutes, I don't think they'll be throwing so many numbers forward. So now's the time for Baldivis, I feel.
Changes. A couple of them being made for Baldivis. Back onto the pitch come Nicola Jones and Bailey Thompson. As Baldivis still chase a 1-goal deficit. Paramabida slicing ball through there was from Byrne, and Mitchell was racing after it, but the goalkeeper read it well. Ball takes 2 or 3 bounces. The clearance went up in the air for DeClane, and now it'll work out pretty well for Yates, who can gallop down this left-hand side. The ball inside for Brianna Thompson. Lovely manoeuvre. The strike on goal. Whistles just wide of the upright. I think Cliff would have had it covered in any case. But a good little piece of movement there down the left-hand side, and the first real flash we've seen of Brianna Thompson this afternoon in the penalty area.
Well, it wasn't a quick pass that got them going. It was a hacked clearance from Fremantle, but that is their way back into this game. It's becoming more and more clear. The quick movement, I would have liked to see the keeper release Yates a little bit earlier. You probably saw me gesturing. She was in an acre of space, and in the end, I think she just held onto the ball for a little too long and then just punted it down the middle. They really need to release the ball quickly and move it quicker. I know I keep repeating myself, but they are there for the taking. The goal is there if they move it quickly. But credit to Fremantle, they're defending well and holding Baldivis at bay.
Intensity's certainly been there for Baldivis, but they've got a bit of defending to do now as Giuliani makes headway down the left-hand side, and sliding in on this occasion is Wilders, who, after having a little spell up top earlier on, is back in the centre of defence and making an important intervention, which preserves a margin to just 1.
Yeah, a team that likes to rotate their players around at the moment. It's McDonald up front for Baldivis, who was quite instrumental, I thought, in their defending in the first half. And as you mentioned, the player that was playing up front now playing down at the back in Wilders. So, and making a very good read and a good tackle. So it's quite impressive to have these players that are so competent in such a number of positions.
Cross came in there. It was safely watched behind by Chloe Marshall, who'll leave the goal kick to her teammate. Fremantle City just inching that little bit closer. Byrne. Little slipped pass down the right. It was Mitchell who tried to play back for Van der Meyeren, and in the end, Baldivis's rigid defence stands tall again. As we've said before, they've looked pretty good in open play. Just that set piece in the first half has let them down. And now on comes the skipper again, Amy Buffton, in place of Amy Peramabida. Skipper coming on to hopefully, for her team's sake, see this one out. Performed pretty well over the course of the game so far. Bailey Thompson couldn't reel it in. Fremantle City will look to launch forward again, perhaps. Wasn't sure whether that throw had entered the field or play or not. It evidently did, as Jones tracked back. Possession turned over. It'll be a Baldivis ball. Quite striking kits, those Baldivis ones, aren't they, Sean? I quite like them. The black jersey with the red numbers and red trim on them. We referenced it in the first half.
Yeah, they are quite nice. They're probably the best kits of the day so far, I'd say. Nothing against, of course, the North Perth or Perth Soccer Club, but we've seen so much of Perth Soccer Club in these bloody finals, Tommy. It seems like they're in every second one. But so it's nice to see something a bit different. Here they go again. Move it quick, girls.
Yeah, winning again, the Azuri, of course, a little earlier today. And as Sean said, just off mic, you may have been able to hear it, but urging Baldivis to move the ball quickly once again. A little bit too quick on that occasion. But the right idea, last touch was off Jones there. I just feel as if the air has just drops out of this game a little bit. The tempo has just dropped off. Both teams have gone real hammer and tongue at it throughout the afternoon. Baldivis have certainly given everything, but they just haven't quite had that punch in the final third when they've needed it the most. Still in it, though. Only trailing by a goal to nil, as the clearance from Naomi DeClane went off a boot and over the sideline. It's a lovely turn there from Ashley Byrne, it was, with the fancy footwork. The releasing pass tried to pick out Giuliani, and coming across was Wilders. And then the 1-2 between Giuliani and Buffton didn't quite work out, and Baldivis will have the throw again. Been a lot of those throws in recent times. Each one of those just eating a couple of seconds off the clock, which will suit Fremantle City nicely. Angela Rooney will come back on. As Baldivis continue their search for a leveller, it'll be Ashley Hollings who makes way.
Yeah, warm applause for Hollings, who's also performed well, and I think just trying to get some fresh legs on the pitch. You mentioned it's slightly lulled a bit, the players obviously getting tired, but as we head into the final 10 minutes or so, it might just need that little injection of pace and some lactic acid-free legs. I'm sure they're getting a bit worn out in this one. You mentioned the hammer and tong approach. It's been pretty helter-skelter.
Yeah, this is where cups are won and lost. Final stages of the afternoon. Baldivis inch a little further forward. Maya Wickstrom-Leah will stand over the throw. She'll now hoist it forward. The header came in from Maria Garcia. Take two for Baldivis. Wickstrom-Leah once again. Garcia heads away. We'll get a third crack at it. Wickstrom-Leah and Garcia once again heading back. 3 times in a row. You don't see that often.
I didn't even see it this time. I was distracted by some more of my emceeing obligations, Tommy, but it sounded entertaining from your call anyway.
Yeah, Maya Wickstrom-Leah threw the ball in 3 times, and on every occasion it was headed back over the sideline by Maria Garcia. This time it's Wilders who'll take the throw.
Well, thankfully, Maria Garcia is not a name you ever get tired of saying, Tommy.
Forward it comes from McDonald. No chaser there for the Baldivis attack. Cliff will just kick it long as far as she can. Gain some territory for Fremantle City, who just started to drop a little bit deeper, perhaps. A little bit of head tennis at the moment. Yates and McDonald both involved. The last touch was off Van der Meyeren, and that'll lead to a Baldivis throw. And there's some Baldivis cheers there as they try to urge their team on. Here's Brianna Thompson. Wide for Nicola Jones. Can she keep it in play? She does. The cross comes into the area. It's off the outside of the foot, though, unfortunately for Baldivis. A good chance goes begging, and behind it goes for a Fremantle City goal kick.
Oh, what a shame. Listen to these fans, Tommy. I think the stands might come down if Baldivis find the back of the net. It's a huge roar as they went forward there. Great to see this support here at Macedonia Park today, that they are pushing, but can Fremantle strike back on the counter-attack?
Yeah, decent journey up from Perth's southern suburbs to be here today. Certainly not put them off, though. Nice day for football as well. Sun's out. A little bit of cloud cover. Great day of action here at Macedonia Park, one of WA football's most famous venues. And the girls on the pitch have certainly enjoyed themselves today and put on a really good battle between two sides who have been fairly evenly matched in truth. They often say that it's a moment of magic or a set piece that can do the job in these types of games, and that sort of cliche is held true with Rachel Oliver's first half goal from a set piece. The difference so far: Baldivis 0, Fremantle City 1. Baldivis trying to launch a final attack or two, though. They'll win a throw over on the far side. It'll be Nicola Jones who wins the ball. Throw goes forward into the feet of Brianna Thompson. Jones forward again. Thompson gives chase. It's put over the sideline. Baldivis. Fans giving their team some cries of encouragement as we edge towards the final 5 minutes here at Macedonia Park. Rooney. Tegan McDonald. Wickstrom Leia. Jinks past the challenge. Doesn't quite get past the second though. It was a good tackle from DeClane. Thompson gets past one. Doesn't get past DeClane again though, who slides in and puts into touch.
Well, here we go. Tommy, it is kitchen sink time. They've thrown everything but it so far. And now the final surge to try and find that equaliser. Pushing as many numbers forward as they can. Just the two back on halfway, and even one of their back three or two even starting to encroach into the Fremantle City half as they try and just launch some balls into the box. Here's another one, and we'll see if we can get a similar delivery to what we had before.
Yeah, cross came in from Jones. Buffton just put the ball behind for a corner. It's Jones who's over there already, who will put this one into the mix. So everybody back for Fremantle City. Defending this set piece. Jones's ball in a low skidder. It's cleared away by Garcia. All hands to the pump now for Fremantle City's defence. Ball's thrown in. Garcia once again meets the ball. She'll just try and carve out a clearance of some sort. She wasn't quite able to play it off an opposition player, and Baldivis will stay on the front foot for now. Thompson driving into the area. Last touch was off Brianna Thompson, according to the assistant Zara Board on the far side, and that'll be a very welcome goal kick, I'm sure, for Fremantle City, Sean.
Yeah, a few arms raised by the Baldivis attackers, thinking that should have been a corner, but you're right, it's a sigh of relief. They really are pressing here, and the ball's been in the Fremantle City third for the last few minutes at least. Just by hook or by crook trying to force it towards the goal. Still haven't been able to breach the goal line though, and that as well will be a sigh of relief for Fremantle. They can take a bit of time on this throw in and soak up a few precious seconds.
Forward from Jones. Little miscommunication at the back, possibly. The clearance was half made, but luckily for Fremantle City, they had a player back on the last line, and that was Rebecca Moore. Seconds ticking down. Fremantle City inch forward, desperate to get out of their half, of which they've been pegged back in for the last 5 minutes or so. Now Vandermeer, and little turn around the corner. Driving forward, Giuliani. Meeting that one was Byrne. Good challenge, not once but twice from Rooney, who looks to drive forward, gets past the challenge pretty easily. The pass into the feet of Wilders, who's pushed forward once again. And Fremantle City's, luckily for them, had numbers at the fall of the ball and may have designs on getting a second to seal it once and for all.
Oh, just the wrong option as they went forward, Tommy. They had 5 or 6 players, black shirts in space, and it wasn't a bad pass because it was to a player's feet and a player that could have done something with it, but just a slight mistouch allowed the defender in, and if they had chosen a different option, perhaps they would have had a bit more time and continued the attack.
Vandermeer leaves it for Moore. Throw will run all the way through for Vandermeer, will it? No, McDonald was sweeping across and clearing upfield. Ball just took an awkward bounce in front of Brianna Thompson there, and Moore will just try and inch it forward for Fremantle City again. Wilson can only stab it into touch. And as far as City are concerned, this is very much at the right end of the ground for them now. Right where they want it. As far away from their defensive goal line as possible. Thrown to the middle, went past a couple of Baldivis defenders. The clearance upfield was made by McDonald, I think it was, back there. Thompson, tough tackle, really good play from Brianna Thompson, and then an important intervention from DeClane, but Thompson still got the ball here. The ball is spread wide for Nicola Jones, who goes one more upfield for Whitstrom Leia. And then coming across with the crucial foot in there. Might have been Giuliani back there. In fact, it was Alexia Humphreys, my apologies. Rooney, Jones. Time runs out for Baldivis. Fremantle City complete the double in season 2021. They win the amateur Premier League, the Metropolitan competition this season. They also win the Women's Belt-Up Metropolitan Cup final as well. It was a 1-0 win. Goal scored by Rachel Oliver in the first half of the game. It was a free kick which went into the penalty area. It wasn't quite cleared by Baldivis defence, which was pretty resolute throughout the afternoon, in truth. They looked pretty good in open play, but it was that one set piece which let them down, and Oliver was on hand to prod the ball past the goalkeeper, and that was the game's decisive moment. Baldivis gave it everything, though. They can go home very proud of their performance against a team in the division above. They gave it absolutely everything, and the closest they came in that second half was when their top scorer, Brianna Thompson, linked up down the left-hand side, cut inside and fizzed a shot into the side netting, which Tessa Cliff was able to watch wide of the mark.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating both our finalists, but in particular our champions, Fremantle City.
So game 2 of 4 done today on the Football West Facebook page and on the YouTube channel. We'll cross down to Sean Fry with the Pro Trophy presentations after a 1-0 win for Fremantle City over Baldivis Districts.
And before we present the medals to the runners-up and the winning team today, we have a couple of individual awards to give out. The Women's Amateur League Coach of the Year, who is from Fremantle City FC, Black, Mr. Bo Allen. Fremantle City also had the Women's Amateur League Goalkeeper of the Year, and that is Tessa Cliff. Please put your hands together for Bo and Tessa. It's been a wonderful season for both of us. Two individuals that today is of course about the teams that they came up against a wonderfully spirited Baldivis District side. So please put your hands together and for our statistics and their presentation for Baldivis. Beginning with number 1, Brian Marshall. Number 3, the Dental Islanders. Number 4, Nicola Jones. Number 5, Kim Wilson. Number 6, Stephen McDonald. Number 8, Angela Rooney. Number 9, Brianna Thompson. Number 10, Megan Love. Number 11, Sophia McNally. Number 12, Number 15, Michelle Young. Number 16, Larry Thompson. Number 17, Ashley Hollings. And the reserve goalkeeper for Baldivis District, Phoebe Carey. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for our superb runners up today. Sarah Higglesy will now come forward to assist in the medal presentation. For the winners, once we've got a quick team photo for Baldivis, go ahead, girls. And now, please, join me in congratulating our champions as we welcome forward number 1, Tessa Cliff. Number 3, Eliza Mitchell. Number 5, Amy. My apologies. Number 7, Jessica Mitchell. Number 8, Rebecca Moore. Number 12, Lara Giuliani. Number 10, Ashley Byrne. Number 15, Zalia Lordy. Number 18, Ethan Layton. Number 20, Zoe Androvich. Number 23, Maria Garcia. Number 25, Rachel Oliver. Number 26, Amy Buxton. Number 31, Alexia Humphreys. Number 35, Naomi Decline. And number 36, Alice Van der Meeren. Could I also ask the Fremantle City coaching staff to come forward and collect their medals? I now ask Amy and Bo to come forward and collect the trophy. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating our 2021 Women's Netball Cup winners, Fremantle City!
In comes the ball, showing interest here is Oliver, who gets the fall of the ball first and free. Rooney, Jones. Time runs out for Baldivis. Fremantle. Rooney, Jones. Time runs out for Baldivis. Fremantle City